Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Nikki, with me, Nicole Nyokabi. Please don't mind why nimeshika mic, we traveled and I forgot my wardrobe in the office. Today we are in Ngong Road, tumeenda kutembea. Like I told you, Naiwave comes to where you are if you're not comfortable leaving the comfort of your home, your office. Just call the number on the screen, DM their socials, na utasaidika. So today on the show we have a doctor. I've had success stories. You're going to hear success stories on our show, and I'm hoping to put more success stories from him. Nataka introduce, and then we get into our show today. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Can you introduce yourself to our viewers today?
I'm Dr Juma. I'm a psychologist by profession. And welcome to my office today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
So tell us, what kind of different, I'm a psychologist, so I know there are different kind of psychologists. So what kind of psychologist are you, and what have you specialized in?
I'm a specialty in abnormal psychology and addiction science. So abnormal psychology basically deals with persons who present with symptoms that seem to be out of touch with reality. So in other words, word on the street, watu wanaita wazimu, mtu amefiat, and that kind of stuff. But basically, when we are talking of psychology, we are just saying people with various intellectual or cognitive disabilities. Inamaanisha probably they can't reason or think or memorize or see things the way people who don't have that challenge see them. So wako out of touch na reality of their world. That is abnormal psychology. Addiction science, on the other side, deals with persons who are hooked on various substances. And substances could be chemical or behavioral. So chemical, we are basically talking of drugs and alcohol addiction. And behavioral, we are talking different behaviors, tabia zenye watu wanafanya. And they are doing it in excess that it interferes with their normal functioning, ama daily functioning. So kama mtu ana masturbate sana, that maybe ina interfere na masomo yake, ama marriage yake, or relationship yake, then we can start saying that this person is having a problem with masturbation addiction. If somebody is probably gambling a lot, gambling hiyo kubet, kufanya nini, nasikia kuna zingine zinaitwa ndege zina fly.
Oh, aviator.
Yeah. So when somebody is really doing that compulsively, to a point where it interferes with their normal functioning, maybe their marriage as well, their finances zinakuwa shida because they are taking all the money to betting or gambling, then we can start saying that this person is probably having challenges with gambling addiction. Behavioral addictions ni mingi. Maybe we'll just look at them as time goes by.
As time goes by.
Yeah.
Okay. So as a psychologist, walk us through how a normal day for you is. Like on a Monday morning, do you have scheduled appointments? Do you do walk-ins? Mtu akitaka kukuona, how do they get to you? How does someone know I want to go and see a psychologist, I want to go and get help, and I want to say Dr. Juma. How do I do that?
So where you are, this is where I do my private practice.
Okay.
So scheduled appointments, as you've said.
Abu tuambie tuko wapi? Nimwambie tuko Ngong Road.
Tuko Adams Arcade, Applewood Adams. This is 4th floor.
Yeah, 4th floor.
Room 413. So this is my private clinic where I do the private consultation, the counseling sessions, and that kind of stuff. So this is where you do your scheduled appointments, as you're saying. But other than this, I also work with an organization called AMREC Kenya, which is basically an inpatient organization where we treat people with various, challenges that we have said. So if somebody has an issue with their mental health, or maybe presenting with symptoms of mental illness, then we have a place where we admit them and we facilitate treatment from there. And that is, the AMREC is located in Ngong. Not very far from here actually, because this is Ngong Road. So
yeah, this is Ngong Road.
To Ngong. That is also, it's also a rehab facility where we rehabilitate persons with various, as I've said, addiction problems. So mtu akiwa psychologically dependent, maybe kwa bangi, ama pombe, na zimemlemea kuacha, you know, that is where we do the rehabilitation process for such persons. So kuniona ni rahisi. You just call our contacts. Maybe we'll give it towards the end of the show. And then if you want to see me from Ngong Road, that's okay. If you want to see us from Amrek, that's also very fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've said something about presenting problems and presenting issues. How does one know that I need help, or how do I know my friend needs help and it's time for me to make them seek a psychologist? Because I think in Anzanga, for example, let's talk about drinking. I start drinking in a day, I do social drinking, and my friends are like, oh, it's okay. At what point do my friends know that she's addicted? Now she needs help.
Okay. Actually telling when somebody has a problem with a drinking problem, for instance, it's very easy because bottom line is there are people who have tried quitting and then they find themselves getting back to the behavior despite themselves wameamua nataka kuacha kukunywa pombe. But anaacha maybe 1 week, 2 months or something, anajikuta amerudia tabia, wameshindwa kuacha wao wenyewe. These are just signs that now my drinking has gotten to when you start neglecting, you are neglecting yourself. There's something called self-neglect, where your hygiene changes, your priorities with cleanliness, your surrounding, you know, is no longer as clean as it used to be. So that personal hygiene as well, you start losing touch with your personal hygiene. When you start waking up, probably kama ulikunywa the previous night, and you feel like you need to kutoa lock, you need to take something for you to feel normal during the day. When you go to work and you can't, funny story, the other day I was just walking in the CBD and then I got into one of those stores just to check on some phone and I meet some person there and I think that question has reminded me of that day. And now, as I'm checking on what I was looking for, they're asking me what I do and all that, and I told them I'm a psychologist, and they thought maybe it was a joke. I don't know whether psychologists wanafaa kuwa watu wazee.
I don't know. I want people to explain to me that.
Yeah. And I tell her I'm a psychologist, and she goes, oh, really? I was just speaking to a nurse who was checking on that item. And then she asked me what I do, and I tell her about this addiction science thing and all that. And she goes, even right now, ile bottle yangu iko na pombe ndani. Yeah, and it was real. You know, so when I was just interacting with that, it's not somebody I could see and say akona shida. Yeah, and
drinking.
She had to go and take a sip. You know, ndia rudi tuendelee na hiyo conversation. So you realize that it gets to a point where even when you go to your workplace, you start putting that drink in your bottle, ama unanunua soda unaweka huko, and you're just working like you know. So that means you need that substance for you to feel normal, for you to feel like you can work normally. So these are telltale signs that you're already having problem drinking. And of course it doesn't occur in a day. Ya kwanza inakuwa ni hiyo tu kuinitiate. Umepata mara ya kwanza umekunywa ama umevuta bangi for the first time. Maybe it's a party, maybe you're just a curious teenager, you know, trying to experiment with these things. Then maybe umevuta bangi ikakupeleka place fulani ukasema I would really like to maintain. Yeah. And now you identify with that. Maybe pombe ulikunywa mara ya kwanza, you puked, you didn't like the experience. You know, maybe you woke up in the morning with feeling funny, yeah, and you didn't like the experience. But bangi place ilikupeleka, you liked it. So brings us to the second stage where you start now experimenting na bangi. You've initiated ukajua bangi test.
This is my thing.
So you experiment various bangi ikinifanya nasikia hivi, sigara itanifanya nisikiaje, you know, what about this other drug? So you do multiple of them and then you identify with 1 or 2 or 3. There are people whom we call polyusers, which means they're using more than
one drug.
One drug. So you start using it socially, ukienda party, you know, maybe if you're working, you leave the office like this, unapitia hapo mahali, you know, there's a very
tuko Ngong Road Quiver.
Wacha kutaja majina.
Sijasema mtu aende Quiver. I've not said that.
You don't want to mention people's names.
You don't.
Unaweza haribu biashara ya wenyewe.
Kweli.
So yeah, we are very close to many entertainment joints around here. So hata mimi nikishuka hapa, napitia hapo, you know, najibamba jioni. Maybe I have a few friends around here. I want to hang out with them in the evening. That's social use. So that's third stage.
Stage 3.
Yes, you just, you know, and social stage also inakuja na you start knowing that maybe sometimes I might forget my problems when I drink.
True.
Yeah, so you realize maybe you had a rough day at work, boss amekukelelesha, or you're having a very rough day at home. Things are not going as they, you expected or something. Yeah, you say wacha niende nitoe stress mahali. That is social use. Just using. You're really not hooked to the substance, but you're starting to use it to cope with daily stressors, things of the sort. And then as you continue using socially, it becomes a regular thing. So mara kwa mara unajikuta, if it was a weekend thing or an evening thing, you realize that most of your evenings you're spending them at that joint. Sometimes you might even start getting that substance that you're using na unapeleka nyumbani. Initially you were not taking it home. Unakunywa tu huko, unasikia huko sawa, unarudi home, but you start having maybe bottles of liquor at your house. You start ushajua pedi wa bangi anakaa hivi, you can always go there by yourself.
Na mali nitampata.
Na mali utampata, you have a few of them already wenye hata wanaweza fanya delivery. So you're advancing. Yeah, ulianza tu na experiment, then you started using it socially, and now it has become regular. You can even drive while you're influenced, something probably you are not doing earlier, and it just keeps progressing and progressing, which means now after that regular use, you start using all your money or most of your money on drugs or alcohol. Pesa yenye ulikuwa utafute nayo chakula home, or you are supposed to pay a child school fees, or you are supposed to take care of a certain bill, you realize that this money you start putting it into your drug problem, and that's what we call problematic use. So basically stage 5, the using has become a problem. Yeah, so it's no longer I'm going to socialize with my friends. You can no longer deal with your problems on a sober head. You can no longer just face life as it is. You have to deal with that substance. If you want a challenge kidogo or a disagreement, a small disagreement, you find yourself using the substance. Any stress of any kind, that becomes your medicine for all your stresses. And you might start maybe missing work, or maybe unaanza kureport job late, unaanza ku-abscond, those things. Kama ni student, unapata performance inaanza kurudi chini.
Drop,
kama ni college student, sasa hizo ma-units unapata kuna a semester imeenda without attending some of the classes. Or they have retakes and receipts because of
your addiction
of using. So that's problematic use, and these are the things I was as we started I said those are some of the signs that ukishahona unajua sasa wewe
it's time.
It's time for you to get some serious help, because after that it's just full-blown substance use disorder, what we call now the addiction itself.
The addiction itself.
That's what we call substance use disorder. Doesn't matter what substance it is. So with the full-blown substance use disorder, you're basically, your life now revolves around either drinking or using the drug that you're using. So kama ni kazi, probably at problematic use ndio unahepa classes. Yeah, at substance use disorder you are no longer in school. If it's a marriage, it's broken because your partner cannot cope up with the things that you do when you're high or something of the sort. So basically life yako crumble. Job, probably ulikuwa interdicted because of it. You lost your job, you're losing your family, everything just is falling apart. And now you're there. You have very many broken relationships, maybe with the family as well, because wamekuonya and they're not listening and all that. So that is where we say substance use disorder. And substance use disorder also, the symptoms vary from drug to drug. Kwa watu wa bangi ndio sasa unaonanga mtu ameanza kuachilia. Wanasema yule jamaa amevuta bangi mpaka kafiat. So because it affects our brains more than it affects our what. So unapata sasa mtu anaanza kuwa na some sort of what we call psychosis. Ana lose touch na reality. Uchafu, kujiongelesha, kusikia masauti ya ziko. That is basically an effect that is brought by those substances. There's also psychosis that is brought about by alcohol, but alcohol is more visible in terms of behavior-wise, ile kupoteza job, and all that. Yeah, but I think now that breaks down the whole
addiction
how do I know I have a
process.
problem?
How do I know I have a
Yeah,
problem
yeah.
question? Yeah, that was a really interesting answer because I know the stages of addiction, but hearing them makes me hata mimi mwenyewe naanza kujiambia kuna tabia nafanya, wacha nione nimefika wapi, because you also have to be self aware to know that hey, it's time for me to get help. So you talked something about rehabilitation. So how does the rehabilitation work? So for example, I've realized I have a problem. I come to you up and then so from here do I go to the rehab, or if I come here and I tell you I have a problem, how do you know if I can get help by just doing the therapy sessions, or how are you going to tell me, hata ukienda therapy na ujaenda rehab sitaweza kukusaidia?
The reality of the matter is, once you have an addiction problem or a problem with a substance, the outpatient sessions, much as you can opt for them, they don't. It's not something that is really recommended.
Okay.
One is because of the psychological dependence that comes with addiction. Yeah, and also in addiction, there's something called dependence, and there's something called tolerance. Basically, kama ulianza na tot, most people they start at parties with a tot. Yeah, and they feel wako high, ama inawabeba. But somebody who's gotten to stage 3, stage 4, they're probably gonna need a quarter or mzinga. Mtu anafika kiwango sasa hata anaweza kunywa mzinga 3, anamaliza yote.
In one sitting?
Yes, in one sitting. People drink, So, what happens is when your body becomes physically dependent to this substance, basically you can't function without it.
Okay.
So unahitaji hata kama we ni surgeon, alcohol doesn't just affect people. True. It affects everyone.
Everyone.
You find that a whole surgeon, before getting into theater, they have to take some sort of a drink. Electricians, they can't just shika your bulb wafunge. They are shaking.
They are shaking.
So that is physical dependence. Your body depends on the substance for you to function. Psychological dependence, you can't think of anything else other than the substance. So hiyo ndio kwa akili yako unaipata wapi? And it's also being contributed to because your body is demanding for it. Unataka quench hiyo nini ya mwili. And that is now where the challenge of outpatient is, because there's a lot of triggers out there for people who want to go through that direction. When you leave those therapy sessions and you are going back to that same environment, you are exposed to this, liquor stores and all that. The psychological dependence does not allow you to just sit somewhere and rejuvenate and think about, I want to quit this. And despite the fact that the mind might really be willing, sometimes the body inakata because of that physical dependence. That is why we recommend an inpatient program or a rehabilitation where you are in isolation. You are not able to access these triggers. You are not able to be easily, tempted to these triggers because addiction is very cunning. Unaweza jaribu, and I mentioned something about somebody trying, and it gets to a point where wanashindwa, and sio kupenda kwao. Even you can see that this guy is willing to quit this, amejaribu kuacha
pia mwili inakata.
Yeah. Also, with the program, what else is the initial stages? There's a detox program that is done. Yeah. So the detox program helps you deal with the acute withdrawal symptoms. Withdrawal is what you experience when you have not used that substance, when your body has become physically dependent on it. So wakati usipotumia, the sickness that you feel, hiyo kushiva, kushake, tumbo kunguruma, ama unasikia unahara, you're having these funny headaches, you can't sleep well and all that. All those, we call them withdrawal symptoms. And these withdrawal symptoms, once somebody is detoxed, they come in phases, yeah? So the first phase of the withdrawals are called acute withdrawals. And acute withdrawals are very severe. They are the kind of withdrawals yenye unasikianga. Nilisikia mahali ati mtu akiachishwa pombe hivyo anaweza kufa, inaweza muua. So tumpatiange kidogo. Yeah, so in rehab we don't do the kidogo. We give you an alternative, which is detox, so that you're able to sort that problem in a way that it doesn't interfere with the person, or it doesn't harm the person. And it is true. If you just withdraw it, mara moja somebody who was drinking a whole mzinga by themselves, and they wake up to the afternoon for it and all that. If you withdraw that abruptly without something to help them with the withdrawals, inaweza wa affect. So that is why we bring in the detox
The
at
detox,
the initial phase of treatment, and that takes care of that. So there's a whole sum of treatment that somebody goes through when they are
In
doing
rehab.
an inpatient in rehab that they might miss.
When they're doing the outpatient.
Yeah. And the detox is not treatment. That is also something that I have to be very...
I was going there.
Yeah, detox is not treatment because people think naenda detox.
Yeah, when I went for my attachment summer, I used to tell people, nimekuja tu kufanyiwa detox.
Kufanyiwa detox.
So that doesn't work.
No,
Nimekuja tu nita detox.
Detox. Okay, it will help you with the withdrawals, but we have not dealt with the reasons as to why we drink the way we drink in the first place.
So if I just go for detox and then go back to the same environment, the behavior might come back, the drinking will come back again.
Yeah, it will. Okay. It might, it will. I'd use the term it will come back because detox is not treatment.
Okay.
You just
a part.
We are safely eliminating the toxins in your system.
Okay.
But after that, we need to find out why this is happening in the first place. Why are we drinking the way we are drinking?
So we need to find
the
underlying issues.
Yeah, the psychotherapy now comes in. And then the coaching, the life coaching. Of how am I going to live without this substance? Because I've become dependent on it and I've been preoccupied with it. So all that kind of teaching is what now we do inside a place where your body is also being conditioned to live without this substance. Because out there, you've tried and you've not been able to do it by yourself. So hizo ni vitu tunaangalia. Na mara mingi when I was saying about finding why we do this, the way we do it, normally we say that addiction is a solution, to an underlying problem that is there. So if addiction is a solution that for instance, when I was talking about the third stage of addiction, the social use, when you start having your life stressors, you find yourself going for drinks. It means the drinking is not the problem. I had a fight at home. And the fight, the way it went, with my coping mechanism, somebody told me that nikienda mahali nikunywe nitasahau hiyo shida, which is not basically how it works.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so if you look at it from that angle, then this guy is not drinking because the drinking is the problem, but he thinks
at home is or where the solution.
Yeah, so when people take drinking for solutions, then we need to find alternative solutions that do not impact our physical and mental health directly, because those options are there. We have different coping mechanisms that one can adopt to deal with things that they go through. And that is now what rehabilitation offers to an individual. Yes.
Okay. So if someone comes for the rehabilitation programs, umesema tena through detox, and now they go to the psychotherapy.
Yes.
And then the coaching.
Yeah, the detox program, then the psychotherapy. There's a program that they do in there that people do when they are admitted for inpatient program, which encompasses a lot of psychological counseling and all that. There's also family therapy, because I mentioned addiction interfere mpaka na relationship ya mtu
na familia na
ndoa na kazi. So if somebody had gotten to that substance use disorder stage, they probably lost their job, their wife, alipotea na watoto. So unakuta mtu mwenye his aspects of life have all been interfered with, whether it's their career, whether it's their academics, whether it's their marriage, their relationships even with friends and all that. Madeni zile alikopa, kuiba, because with addiction it's also expensive, and sometimes to sustain it we have to hurt people. You have to steal from your family, you have to lie. There's a lot of lying. Nimeshikwa nini, you even make unafanya mpaka deal na legal authorities around, wambie mmenishika,
watume kitu.
Yeah, and these are things that people go through. So you realize that by the time unafika ile wakati umekuja rehab, there are a lot of issues that needs to be dealt with, which if not addressed might actually act as relapse triggers when you go back home. Yeah, might act as relapse triggers. And these are the issues that needs to be addressed. the environment, the friends, the what, and whatnots, the people you used to hang out with when you're in active addiction and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, basically that is it.
So the rehabilitation program, is it a specific program that everyone has to go through, or is the program designed to fit the patient's needs?
It has to be designed to fit the patient, because even the symptom presentation when you're admitting a patient are different. Kuna mtu yeye hajafika ile kiwango ya there's no they are still in touch with their reality. There are people who already have insight into what their problem is. There are people who totally lack insight. Basically, kuna watu wanajua na wanajielewa, wanaelewa kwamba niko na shida.
Self-aware people.
Yeah, I have a problem. There are people who, and this is one symptom of addiction is lack of insight. Mtu mwenye ako addicted,
Lakini haoni.
yeah, most of the people with this problem, they don't always see that they have a problem, and they will always use these rationalizations like, mimi sikunywangi pesa zako, you know, naenda kazi, you know, those kind of things that we say.
Yeah.
Siko kama nani, you know, they compare themselves to
other people.
Like, yangu ijafikia kiwango ya fulani. So when you look at that person, you are not going to put them on the same program that you're putting somebody mwenye already yeye ashajua where my problem is, you know, because this person, you have to start from insight orientation, make them understand why they are in treatment in the first place, or why they need treatment in the first place. And then you go with them, you walk with them pole pole mpaka ile siku wanajielewa, and then now you continue from there. There are also people wenye wako na comorbidity, which means other than the drug problem, they also have a mental health issue. So maybe drug imeleta some sort of psychosis. And people with psychosis, as we said, they are not in touch with reality. So they can't understand
what is going on,
what is
or
going
why
on
it's
and all
happening.
that. Yeah. So you have to start with treating the psychosis or the sickness, the mental illness. You have to start by treating that. Then now you later at the later stages of treatment, you do psychotherapy and counseling. You offer that kind of therapy. That person, you can't put them in the same program with somebody who does not have any other medical or mental health condition. Yeah.
Okay. So I have heard and seen your success stories. Do you have cases where when a patient anakuja rehab and then aenda na relapse and then they come back to rehab? How do you help such a patient?
Relapse is real.
Okay.
And there's no institute, I would not even say, yes, sit here and say we have 100% success story. It's a very big lie. And I don't think there's any institution with
100% success rate.
Relapse is there. It's contributed to by different factors. And one of the factors, I don't want to dwell much into the factors that make people relapse. But I know that what I'll say is addiction is a relapsing disorder. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll use this example probably. People don't understand addiction from a disease perspective. Yeah. They see it as a moral decay within the society, you know. Huyu ameamua tu kuwa mlevi. Yeah, kuamua kuwa mlevi, yes, maybe the first 2 stages of it where I'm experimenting and socially using it. But once now it starts interfering with your body, where you feel sick when you don't use it. That's no longer just an issue of decision making. And that is why you'll see that even some people who are always very willing to quit find themselves getting back to that substance. So because it's a disease, and like any other disease. For instance, the last time I was infected with malaria, I was in Nakuru, and I'd just gone to do some work in Kisumu. Spent some days there, then I came to back to Nakuru. I was in Nakuru hospital. So I'm there, and I knew very well that there's no such thing as malaria in Nakuru. They killed it. The Sigaton people, they did some things to
the mosquitoes. Yeah, the experiment I had of it.
People barely get sick of.
True.
I think even Nairobi. So 2 weeks later, when I came from Kisumu, I started getting sick because niko hospitali sinaenda pale napimwa naambiwa uko na malaria, and I'm like, what? That sounds strange. And then that guy asked me, have you traveled to the lakeside recently? And I was there 2 weeks ago. You see, the incubation period it takes time. So before you actually, then I was treated and I got better. And I've probably gone back to Kisumu and come back and have not been. But it doesn't mean that when I go back there and I got that sting, by that
Mosquito.
you know, I might not get
Sick again.
because I was treated then. Yeah. So relapse occurs the same way.
So unasema tuangalie addiction as a
As
disease,
a disease.
and not like a moral decay in the society.
Not a moral decay in the society. It's just uende Kisumu umwe na mbu ya malaria, ukuje uko na malaria. Doesn't mean when you go back there, you know,
Utapona.
ati sasa ukiumwa
Hautagonjeka
tena. That is how I want people to look at it. And when we look at it from that angle, then it gives us that awareness that this is not something that we should be doing with an expectation that we are dealing with it once and for all. People are different. They get it right the first time. You take them to rehab the first time, wanatoka, wako sawa, they get back to their business and all that and all that and all that. There are people who might not get it right the first time, so they'll have maybe to redo it. Just be the same way. If you ukiumwa na hiyo mbu pate malaria tena, what do? You go for another treatment.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you don't become immune to it. So that is the way I would maybe encourage people out there to look at it, that addiction is a relapsing disorder, and they should not put so much pressure on also persons who are trying to recover from it. What we can do is offer support, and one day they are going to get it right. If they haven't, I know they will, because people have gotten out of this thing. The people who have gone to rehab twice, thrice, and then they get it better the third time they've been there. So it's just several factors that needs to be considered. And one of also the triggers to relapse in inakwanga ni hiyo, the expectation that we put on people who are in recovery. You know, wewe tulisha kupeleka rehab, ukifanya hivi, you know, so there are so many conditions that are put around it that it also starts putting pressure on them. And that's in itself is a trigger enough, because if people have so much or so high expectations of you, or they take you to rehab, umetibiwa, uko sawa, umetoka, sisi tulisha kupeleka rehab, wewe ukitoka nitafutie kazi, jifanyie hii na hii,
you have to get back on your feet without our help.
Without our help. That support is needed. These people, they need that support.
So unasema time kutoka rehab, they still need the social support from the family, from the friends.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be isolated.
They need that support because, for instance, you'll find that a majority, I'll give you maybe a statistical analysis of what I know. Most of these people maybe, because I talked of substance use disorder, shule iliharibika, ama kazi iliharibika. So by the time they are coming here, probably shule, walipewa that 1 year or 2 years thing where they, you know, walifukuzwa shule, you know, or they just left, they didn't even
finish what's why the reason why they went there.
Leave alone even finishing. They didn't defer. You know, akasema
so I'll drop out.
Yeah, so I'll drop out too. You don't just get back and tell the academics nimerudi, you know.
True.
So these are things that needs to be worked on. How is this person going to be reintegrated back into the society so that they can pick up their life from where they left it? If there are people who don't want to probably go back to that school, what are the alternatives that we might have? And this is part of what we do when somebody is within the facility. So the exit planning, we call it an exit planning. What plan do we have for this person if they get out there? Kama ni mtu alikuwa kazi yake ikapotea, how are we
going to help them to get?
Yeah,
also, that's why you include the family therapy in the rehabilitation treatment.
That is now where we include those family sessions, where we also empower families on how to handle these cases and deal with these situations, because most people don't understand it. Wanaonanga tu kama ni ward unaadmitiwa, ukitoka wewe
sasa umepona
nini zako, and that's why we have also unasikia hizi relapse cases na nini. But again, the individual himself has to have that insight. They might come kama hawana hiyo insight. If they find it within, then that is a plus.
The insight is going to change.
Yeah, the insight is going to change. If they're able to identify that they have a problem and they need help, then it becomes easier even for the family and even the treatment providers. But kama mtu mwenyewe ni kichwa ngumu, aski, anaambiwa hii kitu nini, they don't want to them, they are always right, then we are having a problem, because much as it is a disease, there's also some behavior aspects that comes with it, and this behavioral aspects means that an individual also has to have a positive mindset towards that recovery, and they also want to actually recover, wakuwe na hiyo insight ya kutaka kuacha pombe wao wenyewe. Yes.
Okay, so I don't. Nini, so thank you very much for hosting us. But
Yeah.
as we wrap up, what is the advice you can tell people? Unajua kuna watu wako nje wako like, I don't believe in therapy. I don't believe in psychology. What would you tell them, like, from a perspective as a psychologist, and you've worked with people? What would you tell people who don't believe in therapy, who don't believe rehabilitation works?
Probably let them not discredit the belief before trying. Yeah, sometimes we say just because something feels the way it feels doesn't necessarily mean that is the way it is, and you can only find out
Just because something feels.
yeah, just because. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, just because you feel you're going to fail an exam, or that the exam is going to come ikiwa ngumu,
It doesn't mean that is what is going. That is what's going to happen.
Unaweza kaa kwa hiyo mtihani uone, nilikuwa naogopa.
Nilikuwa naogopa.
Saa zingine pia unaweza kuwa umesoma kitabu from page 1 to page na ukajua kuna kila kitu. Unafika mtihani unashangaa,
what happened?
What happened? You know. So just because it feels the way it feels doesn't necessarily mean that is how it is. And you can only find out by trying. Yeah, so if I don't believe in therapy, have I tried that therapy to know why I don't believe in it?
That's a nice perspective.
Yeah. Have I tried it? Or have I tried that rehabilitation? I don't believe in it. Because you can't say I don't believe in something that you don't know.
You don't know ama hujajaribu.
You have zero experience with it, you know. So you just give it a try. Maybe the first time, for the first time, just walk into this place and say, is Juma around?
I want to see Juma.
Yeah, because to pick a story 30 minutes and then tell me, I don't believe in therapy, you know. So but that is the advice I'd give them. And most importantly, if you have issues that might lead you to these problems that we've been talking about, there's help. Just seek help. We will be there to help you. You can call our lines.
Now I was going there.
Yeah.
You've said about, let's start with the rehab, and then we come to a private clinic. So you said you work in a rehab Ngong.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about the rehab, and if someone wants to come there, how they can get you, how they can get help to go to the rehab? Do you offer ambulance facilities? Rehab. Do you offer that? Like, tell us a little bit about the rehab and how somebody can get there.
How you get there? Once you give us a call, we will give you all the directions and all the means
to get there. How do we call you?
And even if you need those ambulance, just give us a call and we'll get you there.
So what is the name of
the
facility?
But we are located in Upper Matasia, area. It's Amrek, Kenya. We are on social media. You can visit our website. There's directions pinned there. And just, and you find yourself at our place. So it's very easy. Amrek Kenya on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And our website is also Amrek Kenya. So you can even read some of the mental health articles that we have posted on our website, and you can see what we do and how we do it. For the contact, it's 07 588 10232.
Okay.
07 588 10232.
Mtakewa hapo chini.
Yes. There you can also call 0715 937353. So I believe hizo mtakewa
hapo tuta make sure hizo editor ameweka hapo chini. That is the contacts for the Amrek Kenya, the rehabilitation facility.
For private for this place.
Sasa hapa mahali tuko saa hizi.
07 456 77 156.
Umesikia, and you request for Dr. Juma.
Yeah. Be able to reach out to us.
Okay.
Sawa. Kuna swali lingine?
Apana. So thank you very much for hosting us. I hope I've not stepped too much into your schedule, but it was nice having you. I'm hoping I will hear more success stories. I'll be able to host you another time. For those who have questions, please just leave a comment hapo. And you've known where Dr. Juma is because tumekuja kwa office yake, ametu host. So if you have a problem and you feel you need help, just come here. It's a really nice space. Like, hata kama ni mimi nilikuwa nakuja therapy hapa, I would have opened up because the seats are very comfortable, by the way.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for hosting us. I'm hoping to see you another time soon. I'm hoping to hear another success stories. And asante sana.
Asante.
So guys, that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. We are on road to 1,000 subscribers. And see you all next time. I love you. Bye.